The FPL deadline is just a few days away, and the panic and indecision is rising through all of us. This player, that player, this plan, that plan, every little choice being overthought, leaving us feeling more unsure than ever. So today I'm not going to inundate you with drafts or with plans. I'm not going to debate this player or that player. Today I am going to talk about you, and I'm going to try and help you understand how to reach your conclusions and how to decide upon a draft which maximizes your enjoyment of this game over the next 9 months. So we're just going to keep this simple today. No fancy graphics or anything, just good old-fashioned FPL talk. Right, the first thing, you need to decide which type of FPL manager you want to be. Now, some people like taking a lot of risks. Some like finding players that others don't have and being the first to own them. Some find having solid, steady players a better way to go. Whatever your approach, it is absolutely fine. Just make sure you build a draft that is built around it and supports the way you want to play. You know, there's no point loading your team with a bunch of those DEFCON daddies if you want to chase attacking fullback returns. You know, there's no point spending all your money in defence if you enjoy having those high-priced attackers, you know, your Semenyos, your Mbumos. Load up on them, that's fine. And if that's the way you want to play, that's good. You know, there's certainly no point in getting a load of players in your draft just because everybody else has. If owning the players that everybody else has is boring to you. There's lots of ways to play this game and lots of ways to build an FPL squad, and lots of different types of squads will be successful. So make sure you decide which type of players and squad you want and then build your draft in your own image. Right, before the next point, I'm giving a quick shout out to Footium for sponsoring the video. The new season starts tomorrow, or if you watch this on Tuesday, then it starts today. It's a very fun football club management game. It only takes you about 5 or 10 minutes a day to prepare. You don't need to do that much in the actual games. And look, you can try it out for free for a season. A season of Footium lasts 22 matches, one a day, so just over 3 weeks. Good fun. You know, and you sign your players, you build your squad, upgrade your new academy, and you compete against your pals. Like, this is my 6th season. I'm very much looking forward to it. You know, I'll be playing against D Unit. I'll be playing against my pals in my mini league, which I hope you join. I want you to join my mini league. The link is in the description. And we'll see how we get on, you know, give it a go. Get in my league, let's have some fun, and who knows, maybe one of us will win some of those real cash prizes. So that's Footium. It is linked below. Get on it. Right, the next thing, when you build a squad, think about your chip strategy. Now, I'm not telling you to have a chip strategy completely set. What I'm saying is lots of different people will tell you that lots of different strategies are the best. A lot of people seem to be favouring an early bench boost and a wild card. A lot of people... Like, I've seen a lot of videos, a lot of discussion around bench boost 1, bench boost 2. You know, that's fine. Me, I prefer to save my wild card as long as possible. I like having that insurance. I like the idea that when I play that chip, I have the power over most of the field, and that other people will be looking at me and thinking, oh, I wish I was in his position. And that's fine. That's how I like to play the game. Last season, I went early with it, and it just felt like I was playing catch-up the entire season. Because if it does go wrong, you don't have that power anymore. So that's why I like a late one. A lot of people like an early one. Some people aiming for around game week 11 sometime, a nice middle ground. You know, and what is important to remember is that there will be examples of failure and success with all of these strategies, whether you're wildcard 4, wildcard 6, wildcard 9 or 11, wildcard 17 like me. Some of us will get it right, some of us will get it wrong. Now, when you look at a program like Solio and you factor in all the different chip strategies, over 19 game weeks, the predicted points are all very similar. Like whatever weeks you play the chips in, it's not that much of a difference. Some are better than others, but also as the season evolves, the predicted points will too, because, you know, solvers become less reliable the longer you're projecting them for, because it's harder for them to factor in events, form, how players evolve, you know, and obviously FPL and football, it's played on the pitch, not the computer. Things evolve week by week, but whatever happens, two people on the exact same chip strategy will have very different results, because it ultimately comes down to the players they choose. So even so, it's always best to have a strategy in mind. But sometimes the best strategy of all is to have no set game weeks planned and to just use the chips as a reaction to events. That is a strategy in itself. And whatever your strategy is, just make sure to build your draft with that strategy in mind. Like for me, I'm watching the videos, I'm reading the social media, I'm talking with my pals, and I'm seeing a lot of exciting, risky players in drafts. You know, lots of those minutes risks. These players like Solis from Arsenal right now, everyone's all high on him, and it's like, you know, Ben White, Calafiori, I'm looking at them, they could all go big, but they could also do nothing. They could go big for like 3 weeks and then, you know, Timber's back or Martinelli's back in Arsenal, sign another player on the wing. You know, these players could go big, but they could do nothing. I'm seeing lots of players with great fixtures for 2, 3, 4 game weeks, and it is so tempting to get the same players. You know, I get that FOMO, the think that all my pals are going to have a lot of fun with these players and I'm not going to be part of it. It is tempting, but these people going for these players are planning to wildcard early, and that's the difference. You know, the risk for those people picking those players is very different from someone like me who needs players who can be good for the longer term. So I need to focus on different players, looking more for robustness than explosiveness. And if you are one who wants to remain open with the chips and not have a set chip strategy, really you probably need a bit of a mixture. You know, you need the solid, robust players, and then you need those exciting ones who you can get rid of if needed. So, you know, all I'm saying is have a think about the chips, get an idea in mind, and factor that into your final player choices. Right, the third one, think about how real life will affect how you feel. Now, this one might sound a little bit daft, but what I mean by this is if you support a Premier League team, especially a good one, then factor that into the players you choose for your squad. I see Man United fans talking about no Bruno Fernandes draft, Man City fans talking about no Haaland. I've got Kanji in the group chat asking permission to go without Virgil van Dijk, and I'm telling you now, if you have an emotional investment in these players, then just get them in your team. If you're a Man United fan, you don't want to be sat there every week hoping that Bruno Fernandes does nothing. Likewise, if you're an Arsenal fan with Gabriel, or a Liverpool fan with Isak or Wirtz, or a Chelsea fan, you want Joao Pedro in there, or whoever, Cole Palmer even. If you're going to be sat there watching the football and wishing that one of the best players from the team you support does nothing, and then getting frustrated when they get the points, then they should just be in your squad. Who cares if they score 10 fewer points than a different player over 6 game weeks? It doesn't matter, because you will enjoy playing FPL more with them in your team, and the points that they do get, they will feel even sweeter because you support them and you are invested in them. And look, I am speaking from experience here. I remember a couple of years back, I had Lewis Hall in my squad and I benched him as a Newcastle fan, and my mini league rival didn't. And then Lewis Hall goes, he gets 2 assists. At one point it looked like 3, one wasn't credited, and I couldn't enjoy those assists the same. Like, that was such a wonderful performance from the young lad for my team, and I couldn't enjoy it. Every time he got an assist, I was just silently fuming. Why couldn't somebody else get a touch first? You know what I mean? Why couldn't he be the pre-assist? the game, FPL, detracted from my joy of following my team, and that is not what FPL is about. But likewise, it goes the other way. The same season, I captained Alexander Isak one week when everybody else was on Mo Salah. Like, this was generational Salah, record-breaking Salah, and I went for Isak one week. I think it was against Nottingham Forest, and Isak hit a 16-pointer while Mo Salah blanked. In fact, it might have been Salah was playing Forest when they had that great defence. Isak was playing someone else. And anyway, I walked off with like 28 extra points. And those 28 extra points, I still remember them today. I still remember the feeling of watching Isak score, of like scrolling social media and seeing everyone frustrated that Salah had blanked. And then there was me just like being a bit smug to myself, really, because, you know, that's what the game's about sometimes. You know, you take chances and they pay off and it feels good. And when you take those chances on the players that matter the most to you, then it feels even better. That is what FPL is all about. So if your favourite players getting points for other people will affect your enjoyment of the game, then just get them in your final draft. It doesn't really matter either way, you know. Like, if you're a Bruno Fernandes, if you're a Man United fan and you're sacrificing one of Bruno and Haaland, there's only one answer. Who cares if Haaland gets more points? You want to be backing Bruno. That's what I'm saying. So the next thing to consider, and this is more of a technical thing than an emotional one, and all I'm going to say is remember, we do have transfers and they are best targeted at a few spots in your squad. And what I mean by this is when you build a draft, it's easy to get seduced by the numbers that are on the screen over the course of last season, to look at, say, Tarkowski. Oh, Tarkowski got 170 points. Calvert-Lewin got 142. That means Tarkowski's a better pick, so I'll go for the extra defender over the striker. This is not how FPL works. And those two players, as an example, they're not the same sort of FPL asset. Someone like Tarkowski is what we call a glue player. You stick him in the draft, you leave him there, and you know that over a long period of time, he'll get points for you consistently, and those points will add up. Sometimes they'll be DEFCON points, and they'll come in harder games. Sometimes he'll score, you know, but you just don't know when with these players on the set pieces. Whereas Calvert-Lewin, what he is, he takes up a spot in your squad where you want to target the transfers, because while Calvert-Lewin is a 142-point player, that 6 million striker spot can be worth 200 points easily, because all you have to do is target the fixtures correctly. And look, it's not easy to do that, you know. That's the game. That is the fun of the game. But what I mean is, maybe Calvert-Lewin gets 24 points in the first 8 weeks, but maybe Brian Brobby to Wissa gets you 36 points or something like that. If you stick Calvert-Lewin in and just hope, over the course of the season he's going to get me 142 points, you're going to be disappointed a lot of time. You're going to leave a lot of points on the table, because like Calvert-Lewin last year, he had them 2 long dry spells. One was about 12 weeks without anything, and I think he had another one at 6, 7 or 8 weeks, did nothing. And if you'd sold him at the right times and then got him back for the runs, and look, all you have to do is just wait until he scores. You don't have to be first on a player in this game. But if you sold him at the right times, you got him in at the right times, then that 142 points in reality is much, much higher. Likewise in midfield, if you're looking for a glue pick, then maybe Szoboszlai is the better long-term pick from Liverpool, for example. But maybe if you're looking at that slot as a targeting slot, maybe Wirtz to Morgan Rogers to James Tavernier, maybe that outscores Szoboszlai over the same time frame. We've got transfers. We don't have to keep these players the whole way through, but you need to identify who are your glue players and who are your target slots, and that is important. You do need a mix. You know, if you're on the early wildcard though, then the explosive assets are the one. Because, you know, if you're wildcard in game week 4, game week 6, just pick players that you think could hit those high scores over the 5 game weeks. You only need to do it twice, and they're already wonderful. You know, if a midfielder gets a 15-pointer, a 2-point, 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 and a 12-pointer, then that's what, 33 points off the top of my head? That's wonderful. That's going to outscore a DEFCON guy brilliantly. That is what you want to target if you're going for the early wild card. That's open to you. It's not open to me. You know, if you're going late, or, you know, even if you're just remaining open, make sure that you have those glue picks in your squad, because then you can focus your transfers on the squad spots. Because then you can focus your transfers on the slots in your squad, which can have the most impact. So, right, I've got one more key point, but before I get to it, just a few quick fire points I want to make. When you come to your final draft, keep captaincy in mind, because having good captains is vital. And, you know, this captaincy can be the difference between a top million rank and the top 10k. So make sure to have at least 2 great captaincy options. Another one, have an idea of what you want to do each game. Maybe not for the first draft, but have an idea of what you want to do each week before you allow those outside influences in. Because then when you're listening to people and you're talking about the game, it's an exercise in testing the quality of your idea rather than simply being told what to do. And this will help you feel a lot more in control of your team, and you will enjoy the game more. And the third point I want to make is decide your own objectives for the season. You know, not everybody cares about the top 1k or finishing as high as possible. You know, 2 years back, I sacrificed a top 10k finish because it was more important to me to win my mini league, the one that mattered the most, the League of Gentlemen. And I did win that. And all I did, I was there on the verge of the top 10k, about 6 game weeks to go, and I just started bringing in the players that might only, like, there was one other lad that could have caught me. I just kept bringing in his players, so, like, he only had 1 or 2 players that could close the gap, and I just kept doing that over and over. I lost rank, but I won that mini league. I won the League of Gentlemen, and that was what mattered to me that season. You define your own success in this game. You decide what you want from the game and just aim for that. You know, if all you want to do is take huge hits every week to try and get the highest score, become the world number 1 for that game week, then that's fine. You know, a lot of people enjoy doing that. If you want to blitz all your chips in the first 4 game weeks to try and spike the world number 1, like Nathan Bacon does, that's magnificent. That is an exciting, fun way to play the game. And, you know, maybe you can even disengage from the game after that and enjoy it even more. You know, who knows? But the point is, you define your own parameters for success. And as a general rule, all you can really do is try and be a better FPL player than you were last season. Right, so this is my final point, and it is the most important one. This game will make you emotional at times, and that's okay. There will be times when your defender loses 4 points in stoppage time, or your player misses a penalty while everybody else's player gets a hat-trick, or your uber differential game week 2 captain goes and gets himself sent off and plummets you down to 9.8 million in the world. You know, these things are frustrating, believe me, especially when it feels like everybody else is having a great week and it's all going right for them. You know, these things, they can stress you out, they can upset you, they can put you in a really bad mood, and that's okay. In this game, there is a culture of minimisation around the game. You know, people dismiss it as meaningless or as a silly free game, but we all know that isn't true. You know, for whatever reason, this game means a lot to all of us, and that can be wonderful and it can give us great joy, but anything with the capacity to cause joy can also snatch it away. And when that happens, and it will, accept your feelings, accept the sadness, the frustration. even the anger, acknowledge them, rant in a comment section or on social media, go for a walk, scream into a pillow, turn off your phone, talk to your pals, or, even grab a camera and go in the shed and have a good old rant. That always works for me, whatever it takes to help you process those emotions, it is worth it, because by acknowledging them and working through them, the negativity loses its hold on us, and then we can be better people to be around for the people in our lives who we love, the people who maybe don't care about this game at all. When I go for a walk or when I go in the shed and I rant into the camera, it gets those emotions out of me. It makes me feel better, and I come home and I'm a better husband, I'm a better stepfather, I'm a better friend, because I've got those emotions out, I've processed them. This game matters to me. This game matters to us, and that's okay. Be honest about how much it matters to you and factor that into your final draft. Because if you are someone who struggles with extreme outcomes, then pick a more template-based team. Minimise the risk of those extreme highs and extreme lows. Because the extreme highs are good, but the extreme lows can be really bad. And if you are someone who doesn't care about bad game weeks and all you want to do is just focus on a few game weeks a season where you smash everyone, then that's great too. Load up on those differentials and go wild. Try and smash your mates and get those bragging rights. That's great. Just when you factor in your draft, when you come to decide on your final draft, just understand how the game will affect you emotionally and keep that in mind when making those final choices. And more than anything else, realise that whatever you end up on, once that deadline closes, you will wish you had gone a different way. And ultimately, whatever happens, this is a game of chance, of trying to predict the future. And we are all just guessing. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time.